Wahoo native Noah Vedral becomes a hometown hero on homecoming as he helps lead the Huskers to victory. It's our top story on 10/11 now at 10. The Huskers managed to squeak out a win tonight against Northwestern, but before they did, they suffered a few losses, with both J.D. Spielman and quarterback Adrian Martinez leaving the game with injuries. That gave Noah Vedral a chance to take center stage. But first, we begin tonight with breaking news. The city of Lincoln is now under mandatory water restrictions. This as the Platte River continues to threaten the city's supply. Now, every person living in Lincoln needs to cut water use by 50%. Mayor Chris Beitler issued that emergency declaration just about 30 minutes ago. And the Nebraska Department of Corrections says it's exploring options to combat the delivery of drugs and other contraband to inmates by drones. NDCS says it's asking companies what they can do to detect these unmanned aircrafts. Well, we have some good news and some bad news when it comes to that ice jam on the Elkhorn River. The good news, Highway 275 is back open. The bad, experts don't expect that jam to pass anytime soon. The Nebraska Department of Corrections says a hotel employee who died in downtown Lincoln was an inmate at the community corrections here in Lincoln. And beginning tomorrow, federal agents will begin a nationwide effort to arrest immigrants who have been issued final deportation orders. Lincoln Fire and Rescue is still trying to investigate what caused a fire at a recently condemned apartment building near North Cotner Boulevard and Garland Street overnight. And some college students in Atlanta got the surprise of a lifetime this weekend when it was announced at the commencement ceremony that everyone's student debt had been paid. It's been almost a week that flooding has left destruction across the state, and today more evacuations and more startling videos of damage. But first, we begin tonight with breaking news. The city of Lincoln is now under mandatory water restrictions. This as the Platte River continues to threaten the city's supply. Now, every person living in Lincoln needs to cut water use by 50%. Mayor Chris Beitler issued that emergency declaration just about 30 minutes ago. The sandbagging this weekend hasn't held up. Again, that's a reduction of half for Lincoln families and homeowners and a 25% commercial and business reduction. Hospitals and other care facilities are exempt. All outdoor water use like washing cars and watering lawns is outlawed. Restaurants need to use non-washable disposable settings. The city says if this doesn't happen, the reserves could run out over the next few days. And flooding continues to cause destruction and force mandatory evacuations across Nebraska. Today, the National Weather Service has issued flash flood emergencies in Hamburg and North Bend. These emergencies are both due to levee failures. The Army Corps of Engineers reported a floodgate on a levee is overtopping and water levels in these towns are already rising. These emergencies are in effect through 3:30 a.m. Monday morning in Hamburg and 4 a.m. Monday for North Bend. And we're on day 5 of flooding in the state, and every day we get a new look at some of the devastation. Officers with the Bellevue Police Department gave us a closer look at flood levels near Omaha today. This is what it looked like in the Paradise Lakes neighborhood this weekend, where the water continues to rise. People in the neighborhood have evacuated, and officers are warning people to avoid that area. And Offutt Air Force Base was not exempt from the flooding that swept through the Omaha area. Commanders say flooding is affecting about 2/3 of the entire air base and their duties. Officials say they reduced the number of Air National Guards on duty to just essential personnel today. Offutt moved 4 of their aircrafts off the base and moved some to a hangar here in Lincoln. The base has not made an estimation on the cost of damage. Turning now to weather, I hope you got a chance to get out and enjoy the sunshine on your St. Patrick's Day. Taking a live look at Skyview, still clear, pretty mild out there right now. With weather, this will continue tomorrow. Here's Brandon with a first look at your forecast. Hi, Brandon. Officials have confirmed that a Norfolk man has died as a result of flooding in southwest Iowa. Fremont County, Iowa Sheriff Kevin Eistrop says emergency personnel were called to a report of 2 people that were trapped in the floodwaters hanging onto trees. First responders used a boat to get the 2 people out of the icy water. 55-year-old Aledo Rojas Galan was life-flighted to Bryan West here in Lincoln, where he later died. 50-year-old Santiago Marosta of Norfolk was also pulled from that water. He's still being treated in Omaha. And 2 people had to be rescued this weekend after they drove around a barricade. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office responded when a pickup driver went through a barricade at West Dodge around 10:45 last night. The car drove into high floodwater and stalled. The Waterloo Fire Department tried to rescue the 2 people, but the rescue boat got damaged and sank. A National Guard Black Hawk helicopter was then called to rescue the first responders and the 2 people that drove around that barricade. Both people in the truck were taken to the hospital with hypothermia. The sheriff's office also cited the driver of the pickup for going down a closed road. Officials say they cannot stress enough how dangerous it is to go around those barricades. And it's no secret the flooding has wreaked havoc across the state, but just today, the Nebraska Emergency Management Agency has released the numbers. NEMA is reporting record flooding in 17 locations, and more record cresting is expected in the next day or 2. The Missouri River is expected to crest at 41 feet at Plattsmouth today, breaking the previous record from 2011 by over 4 feet. The Platte River is expected to crest at 14.3 feet in Louisville, breaking the previous record set back in 1960 by 1.9 feet. And the Elkhorn River at Waterloo crested at 24.6 feet this weekend, breaking the previous record by 5.5 feet. And along with those record numbers, NEMA also released the number of people who have had to be rescued. Now, this is video from the Nebraska National Guard showing one of many rescues that took place. Right now, the American Red Cross is operating 13 shelters, and 660 people are currently using those shelters. At one point, that number was up to 1,193 people. Lincoln-based Nebraska Task Force 1 has rescued 16 people and 11 pets. The National Guard says it's rescued 111 people and 13 pets, and the Nebraska State Patrol says it's rescued 163 people. And the flooding isn't just affecting humans, it's also affecting animals. And farmers are going to great lengths to protect their livestock. Our sister station WOWT's Mike McKnight has more. And the Nebraska Farm Bureau says it was already going to be a hard year for Nebraska agriculture. And now with some farms, livestock, and homes underwater, it's going to be even tougher. The Nebraska Farm Bureau has been talking with farmers all across the state for the past week. The Bureau says farmers have a lot of damage to facilities and livestock and face a lot of immediate needs. But as for the long term, these floods will have a lasting impact. Nebraska has seen a 50% decline in net farm income in the past 5 years. The Farm Bureau says this not only affects the agricultural workers, but also a long chain of people who depend on them. The Bureau has set up an exchange website to connect those who want to help with those who need it. And the effects of the flood are still being felt all over Nebraska. Hundreds have been displaced, but for one Seward family, today they got to return to normal for a little bit. 1011's Madison Pitch has that story. 1011's Madison Pitch reporting. Well, this is what the road to Fremont looks like, and after flooding left people stranded, some relief and some much-needed supplies have finally made their way into the area. Hy-Vee sent 8 semi-trucks into Fremont today, escorted by Nebraska State Patrol. The trucks brought everything from water and gas to food and cleanup supplies for those that are staying in shelters. Now, this is the first convoy with supplies that's been able to enter Fremont since the flooding started. Coming up on 1011 now at 10, a minimum wage increase stalls in the legislature. Plus, a crash in Northwest Lincoln this weekend leaves 1 man dead.